Chapter 22, calls 59 and 60. After I'm home and after I get Mom off my case for being gone so long and after I get my door locked and put on some clothes, I unfold the list and flatten it out. I stare at the names and I think about how I got them, and I'm not proud of myself for being a sneak thief. But it had to be done, because something had to be done. Can't just sit around and do nothing. And I think about Alicia. I feel like I should call to make sure she got home okay, but she'd probably just get all hissy about how she can take care of herself. So I root around in my desk until I find a clipboard and put the list on it. Then I pull the cell phone loose from the charger wire, flop down on my bed, and go to work. My first 58 phone calls to the people on the blanket list break down like this. 13 phone service messages that say stuff like, "This number is no longer in service." 8 answering machines that I don't leave messages on. 6 husbands who don't know their wives had done any such thing as exchange an electric blanket and who couldn't care less. 5 wives who don't know their husbands had exchanged an electric blanket and who also couldn't care less. 6 lonely old people who remembered something about a bad electric blanket but who really just want to talk to me about their grandchildren or Wheel of Fortune or the weather or the cost of heating oil or anything at all. 8 people who hang up because they think I'm trying to sell something. 6 kids who don't know when Mom or Dad will be home or who say Mom or Dad can't or doesn't want to come to the phone and could I call back later. And 6 people, 2 men and 4 women, who are actually pleasant and cooperative but had no strange blanket events to tell me about. 58 phone calls and not one hint about anything unusual that might have happened because an electric blanket had stopped working properly. Mom has gotten over being mad about me going out today without telling her anything. Dad has come home from the lab for dinner, but he doesn't smile about anything. I can tell he's still churning the data, and for 2.5 hours before dinner and 2.5 hours after dinner, I'm in my room going through the names for my crumpled, stolen list. I'm lying on my bed, microwaves burning up my brain, running up a killer phone bill. So, it's about 9:45, and I make the 59th call. I know it's kind of late, but I skip ahead 2 names to a person who lives in Denver because it's an hour earlier there. Mr. Borden? Yes. Sorry to bother you at home, but I'm doing a survey about your experience with a Sears electric blanket. A blanket? Yes, from Sears. Do you recall exchanging the blanket? Yeah, we had a pink one. It was probably my wife did it, but it wasn't really our blanket. It was just left here. Left here? You mean at your home? The man doesn't answer at once. His voice is strained. My daughter, Sheila. That was her blanket. May I please talk with her then? No, she's gone now. I hear the catch in his voice and that certain way he uses the word gone. I don't know what to say. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Borden. I hope you don't mind me asking, but this is pretty important. Do you think your daughter's death had anything to do with the electric blanket? Death, he says. There's anger in his voice. She's not dead. That's the hell of it. She's just gone. Over 3 years now. I feel the hair on my arm stand up. Invisible goosebumps. Gone? You mean like how? Like run away from home, something like that? The man blows his nose, clears his throat. Don't really know. She dropped out of college, moved back home, gets a job. Then she takes up with some of her old friends, starts staying out late, came home drunk most nights, sleeps next day till noon, gets up, goes to her job at the restaurant, and on like that for about 2 months. Then one night she comes in late, goes to bed, and the next morning, gone. And you haven't heard from her since? Only once. She called, asked could we send her $2,000, $2,000 more than the $4,000 she already stole when she left. Send it Western Union, she says, to this grocery store in Florida. So I did it. Probably stupid, but if you have kids, you know why I had to do it. That's about 2 years ago. Since then, nothing. Except a note last Christmas, and it's not like it was even a card or something nice for her mother, just one of those computer messages. My heart almost stops. You mean an email? I guess so. It's just plain letters on a piece of typing paper. Sent it to Mrs. Harlan's house next door. Then her boy made a copy on his computer and brought it over to us. Mr. Borden, it's really important that I talk to your daughter. Do you still have that message your neighbor brought to you? You kiddin'? My wife keeps everything. Pictures, bits of hair, baby shoes, first tooth, report cards, everything. Tore her up when Sheila left.